Hey everybody, this is a piece from the Workers' Party, the Shachtmanite Party, uh, titled The Workers' Party in Burnham. This is from The Fate of the Russian Revolution, Lost Texts of Critical Marxism, edited by Sean Matgamna. This is from May 31st, 1941, and it's a statement of the political committee on the resignation of James Burnham from the Workers' Party. And here we go. The letter of resignation of James Burnham from the Workers' Party makes it crystal clear that he has abandoned the struggle against the war and for socialism. The political committee does not consider it necessary at this time to enter into an exhaustive reply to his attacks on our program and movement. Much of what could be said can be found in the articles Intellectuals in Retreat in New International, January 1939, written by Burnham in collaboration with Comrade Shachtman. We urge all comrades to reread the article. However, some brief comments on Burnham and his letters are in order. 1. We assume to begin with that the delegates to the National Convention of the Socialist Workers' Party and our own conference reported back to the members the frank and critical speeches of Comrade Shachtman on the question of Burnham. In these speeches, it was explained that the part-time participation of Burnham in the leadership of the movement was due to his inability to break fully with his old manner of life and to subordinate himself, his personal, social, and cultural interests to the needs of the working class movement. The task of the party, Shachtman added, was to utilize Burnham's talents and abilities to the maximum degree possible under the circumstance, and that time alone would tell what his future role in the movement would be. Burnham has now given the answer. 2. His letter informs us that he has become convinced that Marxism must be rejected. It is no secret that Burnham has never accepted dialectical materialism. However, until now, Burnham defended the Marxian theory of history, its sociological theories, and particularly its most crucial element from the viewpoint of the socialist revolution, the Marxian theory of the state. On the 1st of February 1940, only a few months ago, Burnham wrote that, quote, "It is a direct falsehood to say that I, or any other member of the opposition, rejects the Marxian theory of the state," end quote. I believe I have a reply to Science and Style from Trotsky on this channel. Today, Burnham finds that the Marxian theory of, quote, universal history, a weaseled formula for the materialist conception of history, and the Marxian theory of state, has been disproved by scientific investigation. He has learned quite rapidly, and has so far kept the evidence for this conclusion a dark secret. So we are told for the first time that Burnham considers Marxian economics, quote, false or obsolete or meaningless, end quote. When did he find this out? 3. Matters are worse when he presents his views on the political problems of the movement. It should be noted at the outset that Burnham falsifies his own previous position. For example, Burnham writes, quote, the, quote, transition program, end quote, document seems to me, as it pretty much did when first presented, more or less errant nonsense, ... end quote. How easily Burnham deceives himself. As, at least, all the leading comrades know, Burnham agreed with and enthusiastically welcomed the general spirit of the transition program and the main ideas contained in it. He, as others, it is true, differed with certain formulations in the document and insisted that its concepts and slogans be applied concretely to the American scene, but the criticism did not go beyond that. Now it appears that Burnham has convinced himself that he always considered the transition program as, quote, more or less errant nonsense, end quote. 4. So it is in the matter of his attack on the, quote, Leninist type of party, end quote. He finds that such a party is, quote, incompatible with scientific method and genuine democracy, end quote, and gives the impression that this has always been his position. Again, he conceals the real meaning of his attack, which is a repudiation of any revolutionary socialist party, behind criticisms of, quote, Leninism and, quote, Bolshevism. Precisely what is he against and what is he for? In the recent factional fight, Burnham, as our group as a whole, charged that Cannon had adopted the party theory and practice not of Lenin, but of Zinoviev. That's actually a very interesting statement because Zinoviev, as the leader of the Communist International for a period, had a very important influence, or I've heard, at least from, what's his name, Ernest Haberkern, who's edited the volume Neither Capitalism Nor Socialism, Theories of Bureaucratic Collectivism, that Trotsky himself got his conception of the party more from Zinoviev than of Lenin. So I'm very interested. It's hard to find. There doesn't really seem to be a tremendous amount of secondary literature on Zinoviev, but I'd like to know more about what were Zinoviev's positions on anything, because I don't really know much about anything that Zinoviev may or may not have thought. Anyway, Burnham, as our group as a whole, charged to me. Precisely what is he against and what is he for? In the recent factional fight, Burnham, as our group as a whole, charged that Cannon had adopted the party theory and practice, not of Lenin, but of Zinoviev. He, as all of us, fought for a revolutionary socialist party in the best traditions of Lenin and the Bolsheviks, Luxemburg and Trotsky, a party with a Marxist program, democratically organized, united and centralized in common action. Are the theory and practice of the Workers' Party, quote, incompatible with genuine scientific method and genuine democracy, end quote? Burnham wisely evades this concrete question and takes refuge in the general clamor of those who desert the movement against the, quote, Leninist type of party, end quote. This is understandable, since what Burnham desires above all is freedom from all responsibility to any revolutionary party. 5. Burnham writes that since the Workers' Party is a revolutionary Marxist organization, the split from the Socialist Workers' Party was not based on anything, quote, fundamental. Yesterday he understood that our conflict with Cannon and Trotsky was over the strategic orientation of the Fourth International in the Second World War, and the character of the regime of the party, particularly in face of the war, and the existence of two politically irreconcilable tendencies in the party, and that our struggle for the, quote, third camp, against bureaucratic conservatism, and for a democratically organized and centralized activist Marxist party, led to the split precisely because the differences went beyond the, quote, details and emphases, end quote. Went beyond, quote, details and emphases, end quote. We readily agree with his remark that, quote, nothing whatever in the faction fight indicates a decisive tendency away from this Marxist Fourth International orientation. On the contrary, every sharp suggestion in such a direction was at once blocked, end quote. Burnham. His present view of the significance of the split is entirely comprehensible, coming as it does from one who has broken with Marxism and the socialist movement and has given up the struggle against the war. 6. He declares that he is in agreement with the Workers' Party on the war, but also shares this position, quote, with many other organizations, end quote. Which organizations? Where are they? Again, when did Burnham discover them? More important is, what practical consequences does Burnham draw from his, quote, agreement with our anti-war program? Only one, ... desertion of the movement against the war, and the retirement. His real program is given a, quote, scientific, end quote, basis. Quote, socialism would be a good thing if it can be achieved, end quote, but the next probable stage of development is a new system of exploitation, quote, managerial society, end quote. So why do we need any revolutionary party? Why conduct a hopeless struggle against the war and for socialism? Since this is the real meaning of Burnham's letter of resignation, we can attribute his remarks on the war as a, quote, psychological hangover, end quote. 7. As he suggests in his statement, quote, this letter may be an over-elaborate way of saying the single sentence, quote, I feel like quitting politics, end quote. And so it is. The increased hardship of our small movement in the face of the rapid developing war crisis and the greater difficulties yet ahead placed Burnham, as every other comrade in the party, before a decisive choice. Everything to the movement or personal passivity and retirement from revolutionary politics. The first choice requires confidence in the working class and the party, self-sacrifice, devotion and moral courage. Burnham, lacking these essential qualities, chose to give up the struggle. Where this will lead tomorrow is yet to be seen. 8. After reading his letter, It should be clear why he could not wage a fight for his views in our party. He has nothing to offer the members, nothing to offer the working class. His attack on Marxism in the name of, quote, scientific method and genuine democracy, end quote, and, quote, truth and freedom, end quote, cannot be taken seriously since it is a pretext for quitting revolutionary politics. And why should he make any fight in the party if his aim is to quit the movement? 9. The Workers' Party is deeply concerned with the struggle for truth and freedom. Its methods are the methods of science and democracy. This struggle and these methods are inseparable from the struggle against the war and for socialism. They are an integral part of Marxism, the self-critical science of working-class revolution, with the aid of which alone one can explain the past defeats of the movement, understand the events transpiring around us, and forge the instruments for proletarian victory. Burnham has abandoned scientific socialism, the socialist movement, the socialist goal. He has thereby deserted the only meaningful struggle for truth and freedom. 10. Confronted with Burnham's letter of resignation, the political committee saw no reason to enter into an agreement with Burnham, as suggested by his 4 alternative proposals. We accepted his resignation, effective immediately, and decided to inform the members as to the true facts in the case. We are confident that the party members will understand the significance of Burnham's defection and continue with increased energy our struggle against the war and for socialism. Thanks for listening.